All right, today we're going to dive into this really powerful concept from the classic book Steps to Christ. It's called consecration. And, we're not just going to look at it as some old religious idea. We're going to explore it as a practical, hands-on path to finding real freedom from all the stuff that holds us back. The habits, the anxieties, the things we get attached to in our day-to-day lives. So to get us started, I want you to think about this question for a second. What's the greatest battle that's ever been fought? I mean, we've all seen the epic movies, right? These huge struggles between armies, between good and evil. But the book we're digging into today suggests that the biggest, most important war isn't fought out there on some battlefield. It's actually a lot closer to home.
And there's our answer. The greatest battle, the toughest one, is the one we fight against ourselves. This internal fight, this constant tug of war with our own habits, our desires, our weaknesses, that's really at the heart of what it means to be human. It's the daily fight for who's really in control of our lives.
Okay, so what does this battle within actually look like in real life? Well, the book describes this as a state of alienation, like a fundamental disconnect. It's that feeling of being stuck, That feeling when you know exactly what you should do, but you just can't seem to make yourself do it. Now, I know this language sounds super intense, dead in trespasses, held in a snare, but it paints a really vivid picture of what that alienation can feel like. It's that burnout feeling where your willpower just feels shot and you feel held captive by something. Maybe it's a bad habit that keeps coming back, a cycle of negative thinking, or even an addiction. But here's the crucial point. The text doesn't frame this as some final judgment. It sees it as a condition that God wants to heal, to completely set us free from. So let's get a little more specific about these snares, because a lot of the time, the things that hold us captive don't look like prisons at all. Actually, from the outside, they can look pretty good, even desirable. The source material calls them slavish bands or idols, which sounds a bit old-fashioned. But we can just think of them as our modern attachments, the pursuits that end up controlling us instead of the other way around. They're the things that promise us freedom, but ironically, end up trapping us. And what's so fascinating here is just how modern these ancient ideas feel. The book points to things like the love of money. Notice, it's not the money itself, but the obsession with it. Or the constant chase for reputation and worldly honor, which today sounds a lot like chasing likes and social media clout, doesn't it? Or that desire for a life of selfish ease, where we just want to be comfortable and avoid any real responsibilities. The book calls these golden chains because, yeah, they look shiny and valuable, but in the end, they just tie us down. So, if we feel like we're caught in some of these chains, how in the world do we break free? Well, this is where that idea of consecration really comes into play. And it all starts with a really important distinction. This is not about being forced to obey. You can see the difference so clearly here. God's appeal isn't about forced submission, about turning us into mindless robots who just follow orders. No, it's an invitation. It's an appeal to our intellect, to our conscience. The text says we're invited to reason together. It's all about making a willing, intelligent, free choice. Because think about it. True freedom can't be forced on anyone. It has to be chosen. And really, that's what it all boils down to. The freedom is offered, the help is always there, but that final decision, that rests with us. We have to actually want to be set free. Okay, so if it all comes down to a choice, how do we make that choice? How do we turn that simple desire for change into a real, lasting thing? Well, the answer is in understanding the incredible power of our own will. So think about your will for a second. The book calls it the governing power in our nature. It's our power of decision, our engine for choice. And the text is super clear on this. We can't just magically change our own hearts or make ourselves love the right things. But what we can do, what we have total control over, is our choice. We can choose to give our will to God and then allow Him to do the work in us. This lays out the roadmap so clearly. First step, you just have to acknowledge you can't do it alone. This isn't about gritting your teeth and trying harder. Second, you realize that your real power, your superpower, is your will, that ability to choose. Then, step 3 is the action part. You make the active choice to give your will over. And this isn't some one-and-done thing. It's a daily choice, sometimes a moment-by-moment choice. It's choosing patience when someone cuts you off in traffic. It's choosing to forgive instead of holding on to that grudge. And finally, step 4, you just allow that power to work in you, trusting that as you keep making that choice, your desires, your very nature, will start to change from the inside out. Now, let's talk about the word surrender.
I know it can sound like losing, right? Like you're giving something up. But the way this book frames it is completely different. It's not a painful sacrifice, it's a liberating exchange.
And this idea is just so reassuring. Basically, if you feel God prompting you to let go of something, a habit, an anger, whatever it is, it's only because that thing is ultimately bad for you. The whole goal isn't to take away your joy, it's to remove the things that are getting in the way of your joy.
Just look at this trade. It's an incredible deal. You're not just giving up some harmful habit, you're trading it for real freedom and joy. You're giving up those self-destructive patterns, and in return, you're gaining peace and rest. You're giving up things that hurt you in exchange for things that heal you. It's trading a path of misery for what the text calls the heights of bliss. Who wouldn't take that deal?
And maybe this is the most important thing to remember through all of this. The entire point of this is human happiness, not suffering. Every single invitation to change, every call to let something go, is all rooted in a deep desire for our ultimate well-being. The path of doing things our own way, the path of transgression, is the path of misery. But the path of surrender, that's the path to a truly joyful life.
And so we end up right back where we started, with a choice. The greatest battle is the one inside you. The chains that hold you might feel strong, but the power to choose to break them has been given to you. The power to surrender and be set free is yours. So the only real question left is, what will you decide?